All right, welcome back to Bayou Time. And as you know, each week we have the council chair, Darrin Guidry, up here. We talk about certain things in the parish. We also talk about the agendas, and got a lot of agenda stuff happening. I see some interesting things, but tonight, Darrin, first of all, welcome. We appreciate you coming by.
Thank you for having me, Martin, and we always appreciate the opportunity to get the word out about what's happening at our meetings if people want to come and see.
There you go. All right, so tonight, Budget and Finance Committee. You want to start with that?
Tonight we have our committees, and of course, all of our committees. We take action in the committees, and they're ratified on Wednesday when they become official. Mm-hmm. But tonight we are going to begin with a special council meeting tonight, where we are going to look at some properties that are up for condemnation that haven't been repaired for whatever reason. What we do is we condemn them, and then the parish will tear them down and put a lien against the property. And then if indeed it doesn't get paid back over a certain amount of time, we then put those adjudicated properties up for sale. Mm-hmm. We do have some on the agenda tonight. As a matter of fact, if you're interested in getting into purchasing adjudicated property from the tax rolls, people who haven't paid their property taxes, there is a list of properties on the agenda tonight for Budget and Finance. You can look at them. We're going to vote on to put them for sale. And if you're interested in putting a bid on those particular properties, you can. The only thing with adjudicated property is you have to hold on to it for 2 years, because the person can come back and pay all the expenses as well as the tax lien on it. But if not, after 2 years, you can get a piece of property sometimes for, pennies on the dollar.
Yeah, and you got a list of about 40.
Right, so you can look online at our Budget and Finance Committee agenda, or come to our meeting tonight and look and see if there's any of those properties that you have a stake in that you're interested in.
And they range all around the parish. They're all over. Yeah.
It's all over. And I know a lot of people who do that, who just, buy adjudicated properties, hold on to them. Some of them come through, some of them don't, but they pick up, there's people who just do that. So,
yeah, and we don't know the circumstances naturally. This is not a judgmental thing, but certain people let go of properties for certain reasons, and they become an eyesore. Then the parish can really have to step in at some point, don't you?
And Martin, the bulk of these tend to be estates where maybe the person has passed away and it's owned by 4 relatives. One relative doesn't want to tear down the property. The other 3 are trying to. So sometimes the condemnations and tearing down the properties actually work for some of the owners of the properties who just, can't get, all of the people to agree on it. And sometimes they will go in and purchase the adjudicated property so they can have a free and clear title to it.
Now, see on item number 7, right underneath, introduce an ordinance to declare a surplus 5 tax sale properties. That would be a little different than the above ones, right? Or is that in addition?
Yeah, it's in addition. It's different types of properties. Because of various different things. Some may be a property tax. Some could be, different types of tax situations.
Okay, all right. So nonetheless, people, and they do have a lot of people that property hunt. This would be an agenda they would need to look at for sure, because there's a lot of addresses on here. So if they're opportunistic, it is certainly something. What else happens tonight?
Tonight we have something that, I have been working closely on together with Clay Knockan, with our vegetation department and our parish president, Gordon Dove. Mm-hmm. We have been working on the idea of solving a big problem we're having that is just exacerbated this year, and that is the grass cutting on state highways. This year, the State Department of Transportation and Development has had hiring issues. They're always slow to cut the grass to begin with. Mm-hmm. This year, with the hiring issues and everything else, it's just become such a bad situation that it really affects the quality of life in our area, and it affects our ability to seek businesses wanting to locate in our area, because when they come and they see the grass is unkept, there's garbage and everything else, who's going to want to locate a business in an area?
In fairness to you all, I've seen a lot of that, and in fairness to Clay for sure, because that's his department, most of these are state. And y'all get the blame for it, but people don't realize these are state properties. So the state needs to step up.
And I have some examples. I went this morning, at least right before I came on the air here. and I took a photograph of Tunnel Boulevard, and that's at St. Charles. And then I just drove down that's Civic Center Boulevard, excuse me, and took a picture of one that we maintain. The state maintains Tunnel. We maintain
That's night and
Civic
day.
Center Boulevard, night and day. And this is 2 or 3 days after we cut the grass on Civic Center Boulevard. It's not even freshly cut there, and you see how good it looks comparatively. So we have an issue. We have 230 miles of state highways in Terrebonne Parish, and there's no way we're going to be able to work out any deal to take over 230 miles this season.
Right.
But we are working on it for next season. However, we do have a plan for this season that we'll talk about in a few minutes.
I guess to put myself in the public shoes, if you're driving around and you see tall grass and it's in Terrebonne Parish, right or wrong, you assume it's Terrebonne Parish. But there's a lot of state land, and you just showed a picture, and the state land, they've just let it go. Like you said, they've had shortages. They can't get people on board. There's a manpower, a lady power problem, to be politically correct. But you said you have a solution. I'd love to hear it.
We do. And again, I'm working together with Parish President Dove and with our vegetation, Clay Knockan, on a plan for next year to take over all 230 miles of state roadways that we can control and we can cut. The state cuts 4 times a year, no matter what. So in the middle of Tunnel Boulevard, they're cutting 4 times a year. Imagine if your yard was cut 4 times a year, what it would look like.
Be about 3 feet tall.
We cut certain areas 36 times a year, like the one that you saw. Tunnel Boulevard, we would cut 36 times a year. So what happens is I went to a couple of businesses about the idea of them adopting just Tunnel Boulevard on east and west, and maybe cutting it, at least the medians and such, getting it look nice, and maybe we give them credit. I got some kickback in the liability. Their grass cutters don't, because it's on the middle of a road, there was a little pushback. So I contacted Clay Knockan and asked him to give us a price from our contractor, who we contract to do the zero turn cutting, what it would cost for us to cut the medians on Tunnel Boulevard. Because I said maybe I could try to get businesses to pay the price, instead of getting their grass cutters to cut it. When the price came back, we were surprised. It really wasn't that bad. And so Clay added some other roadways that we've been having problems with, like the Schriever Overpass area and some areas of Prospect Boulevard that we've been having issues with. And he got a price, and our price to cut those, clean cut, the rest of the year came out to about $18,000. Well, based on the state calculations and contacting the state, they'll reimburse us $10,000. So the difference is only $8,000. They'll pay 60% of it for this season.
Right.
So that solves at least some of our major thoroughfares that everybody in the parish uses. And so we've contacted the state. They seem to be agreeable. So on tonight, we have a cooperative endeavor agreement to take over 2.4 miles on West Tunnel Boulevard, 0.78 miles on East Tunnel Boulevard, as well as LA 24 from St. George Road to Schriever Overpass, LA 20 from the Schriever Overpass to LA 3185, and Prospect Boulevard from the overpass to the Bayou Blue Road. And so if that's approved tonight, I'm still waiting on the final approval that DOTD indeed is going to come up with its $10,800. But we're going to pass it tonight, hopefully pass it tonight, contingent upon DOTD providing the funding and also legal.
And we'd be willing on this channel, because we all need a beautiful Terrebonne Parish. We could give them plugs on the channel, but maybe a little sign in the medium too. Is that legal? Can they do that?
Though I haven't gotten.
Thank you, Burger King, for taking care of the medium in front of your place or whatever.
If I get businesses that are interested in doing that, my next step would be, yes, talk to our legal department to see, what we can and can't do. But if we can get Tunnel Boulevard, Prospect, and the Schriever Overpass to look like what you saw on Civic Center Boulevard in that picture, I think that'll be a plus. And then meanwhile, we'll work on the bigger picture. It's going to cost us $600,000 to cut all 230 miles. That's the estimate I received.
And would that be reimbursable? Is it just a manpower problem at the state, or is it a money budget?
It's a little bit of both. It is a manpower problem right now, but it's also a budget. The state's trying to get to 10,800 to see if it's budgeted. And I'm like, well, wait. It has to be budgeted because well, I don't know if the money's there. It's like, well, okay, well, what do you?
Because everybody and their uncle is in the grass cutting business now, so I would think that if they would just come spend a little time in Terrebonne Parish, somebody would be more than willing to be paid to cut the grass.
But I think we're in the negotiating stage right now with DOTD. If they can come up with, I think I could probably even get our parish president to support a 50-50 split, because we have a vested interest to see to it that our roadways are cut more than 4 times a year.
Yeah, because you make a great point. If somebody's coming in, or if a doctor is relocating to come to Terrebonne General or CIS or whatever, and they coming straight into Terrebonne Parish and they see this eyesore of grass, they might just turn around.
No doubt. And some people will comment that Lafourche Parish is so much better, their grass is so much better. But in most cases, they're not talking about Lafourche, they're talking about Thibodaux. Because when you drive to Thibodaux maintains, they have a CEA. In fact, that's the one I'm using to model off of. They actually cut the grass for the state highways that are in the city of Thibodaux. You get outside the city, Lafourche Parish has the same situation as we have. But we're trying to do more like Thibodaux has done. But we are a parish, we're not a city. We have to take care of our whole parish.
And it's a shame, because when you are a landowner, you have responsibilities. If the state is a landowner, which they own a lot of land.
And by the way, the state has not cut the bayou roads yet this season. All of the state highways down the bayous, they have not made a single pass.
Any reason they're giving you?
They say manpower. They have the tractors, but they just can't find anybody to work them.
Still a lot of cables laying in town that have almost been abandoned, just left out there.
Especially if you go in the bayou areas, you'll see, and it's mostly communications wires, AT&T, Charter Cable, Comcast. The lines were replaced, but the old lines either lay on the ground or lay in a pile somewhere. I know it's a big issue in Berg, because I'm in Berg most often and passing by a lot of these abandoned lines, and we actually have the person from Charter to give us an in-person update at our meeting Wednesday night at the council meeting. So I'm interested to hear what Charter Communication is going to do to remove these abandoned lines.
And I would think, being in that business years ago, that Comcast and Charter probably contract out, probably subcontract. So I would assume one of the things they'll be doing is calling the people they contracted out to get on it, so.
And in some cases, I believe that some of the lines may have been upgraded as a result of the storm. Maybe ones that weren't fiber were added fiber. Yeah. Maybe that was a single fiber, they ran multiple fiber. So the old wires they didn't need, and they were, weren't ever going to put up, but they need to be removed. And so we're going to have an update from them. And we also have an update, hopefully, from our parish manager, who's contacted AT&T and Comcast to see what their status is.
And that's a great case, that if it is their subs, they just have to pick up the phone, because those subs make a lot of money off of Comcast and Charter. And so I'm sure if the managers pick up the phone, you'll probably get some quick results. Let me, something else on the agenda, some big library news, right?
We do. And I'm proud to say that, I serve as the council's appointment to the library board, but I can't take much credit for it, because the library has a great staff and Mary Cosper LaBeouf does a great job. But, a lot of people try to point out some of the things that some of the issues we have to work, and the things that aren't the best in Terrebonne that need to be improved. But I also like to talk about the things that are the best. In our library just received, we had it on our last agenda, but it hadn't yet been awarded, and so we're going to have it on a commendation on this Wednesday's agenda to commend the Terrebonne Library System for receiving the state's James O. Mattisette Award as Louisiana Public Library of the Year. Out of all libraries, public libraries in the state of Louisiana, Terrebonne Parish won Library of the Year. So we do have some things to be proud about here.
That's incredible. Yeah, there's no doubt. Mary does such a great job. And, you know, most people think of we think of the old days when we went to the library and cut up and did this and did that, but there's so much more to the library today than when me and you were in school. They got kids programs and kids activities and picnics outside, all kind of things. So she has a lot to bridle in, doesn't she?
She even has a Tuesday market. You can go out and, buy some crafts and, buy some, I don't know, some turnover pies that they have sell, a whole bunch of things that they sell every Tuesday. It's open, it's free to the vendors. And that's something that's kind of been catching on at the library. And I think it's pretty good. We're going to give them a commendation. We're also going to hear some updates from the Terrebonne Economic Development Authority's new CEO, Darrin Guidry, is going to give us an update. We're going to meet Dr. Edward Brooks. He's one of the new doctors with the Terrebonne Parish Health Unit. So he's going to tell us what things are going on at the health unit. We're also going to have a Representative Beryl Amity, who's going to give us her legislative update. So we're going to have a lot of things going on. And as to remind people, you cover our meetings, so you could watch HTV and see what happened at our meetings. We also stream them live on Facebook if you want to see them at the time, or you can come to the second floor of the government tower. One other thing we're doing on Wednesday is we're approving a final ordinance to declare Bayou Country Sports Park to the list of parks that are drug-free zones. And how that's important is the things that are drug-free zones have higher fines and higher penalties if you're caught dealing or using drugs in one of these drug-free zones. And so the sports park wasn't specifically designated. We're going to do that.
It's almost like a school zone, isn't it? Pretty close?
The schools are drug-free zones as well. And so, yes, a lot of our parks are drug-free zones, but for some reason the Bayou Country Sports Park wasn't designated as such. And so we're going to take that positive step.
Let me ask you, just in jest, can y'all do anything at the council meeting about the heat and the rain we've been having? It's been incredible. I mean, we thought we got past the heat. Now, the rain cools it off a little bit, but we got a lot of rain.
Well, Martin, I can't even do anything about the air conditioning in our council meeting room because while you're sweating out there, we're freezing. So if you come to our council meeting, make sure you bring your jacket.
Yeah, well, that's good stuff. So once again, let's give them the times of the meetings. Tonight is
we start out with a special council meeting on condemnations at 5:30, and we follow up the committees right after. Then on Wednesday night at 6 p.m., both meetings are on our second floor of the government tower. You enter at our Gabas entrance, and both are streamed on Facebook, and the Wednesday meeting is on HTV right here.
All right. Darrin, we appreciate you as always coming by, and we'll see you on the next go-around.
Thank you, Martin.
All right. Darrin Guidry, once again, council chair here in Terrebonne Parish, and we'll take a short break. A lot more here on HTV. Don't go away.